Hello and welcome to all. If you're a TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and company addict, the name Andrew Tate will surely tell you something. Because in the very select and cruel world of influencers, this young 35-year-old managed to make a place for himself. This former Anglo-American kickboxer has indeed been able to impose himself as a real figure on social networks, amassing considerable sums of money and acquiring a huge celebrity. The former world champion of full contact would have accumulated a colossal fortune, which would amount to hundreds of millions of dollars, and this in an almost record time. But what is the secret of the dazzling success of this young man with controversial opinions and very provocative media releases? So make yourself comfortable, because that's where we're going to try to discover in this exciting video. Let's go. Andrew Tate was born on December 1st, 1986 in Washington, the federal capital of the United States. His father, Emory Andrew Tate Jr., was an African-American from the city of Chicago and an international chess master, and his mother was of British origin. In addition to little Andrew and his two parents, the Tate family also included his brother Tristan and his sister Janine. The young boy grew up surrounded by his brothers and sisters in Washington, D.C., the political capital of the United States, and where the symbol of America is located, the famous White House. However, because of their mother's British nationality, the young children made frequent trips to Great Britain and spent much of their childhood there. But the Tate family was not rich, and it was often in third-class charter flights that they had to cross the Atlantic. For despite his glorious title of chess master, the father of the family did not get much from this status, nor from the countless tournaments he won. It must be said that chess is not American soccer or baseball, which earn millions of dollars for their players. Emory Tate fed his family with meager salary as a sergeant in the U.S. Air Force, which was barely enough for them to lead a decent life. The little family had to do without many things in order to afford airplane tickets, and little Andrew was never able to buy the nice toys he wanted, although he didn't complain about it. For despite his relatively young age, the young boy already knew his parents' financial situation, and he knew he had to take it easy because he had no other recourse. Yet, he secretly swore to himself that he would become rich one of these days when he was old enough and strong enough to stand on his own 2 feet. He promised himself that he would do the right thing and that he would pursue this dream of wealth tirelessly until he reached it, for that was his destiny. Time passed and the young boy, still obsessed by his childhood dream, turned little by little into a young adult man with a slender and robust body. The young Andrew had indeed started kickboxing at the age of 17 and had made such a great progress in this martial art that he decided to turn pro. Thanks to intensive training and a warrior's morale inherited from his father, the young Andrew became a great fighter who only wanted to prove himself and demonstrate all his abilities. But the young man knew how to keep his feet on the ground, and in parallel to his sports career, he worked as a TV commercial salesman, which ensured him a constant salary. Andrew Tate had not given up on his dreams of wealth and opulence, but he knew better. And since he had not yet become a millionaire, he could not afford to be idle. The year 2009 brought a ray of hope for the realization of his plans, as he won the ISKA Full Contact Cruiserweight Championship in Derby, England, and was ranked number 1 in the European light heavyweight division. Andrew Tate was incredibly efficient during this tournament, winning no less than 17 of the 19 fights he fought. But unfortunately for him in 2011, the young fighter will narrowly miss the opportunity to win the ISKA Full Contact Light Heavyweight World Championship. Tate Andrew will indeed lose his fight against his tough opponent, Jean-Luc Benoit, but it was a victory on points, and after a series of 12 rounds that were very tough for both fighters. The intensity of this fight and its resounding media effect pushed the organizers to announce a rematch only 3 months later, which would take place in Luton, England. This time, Tate Andrew ended up winning the duel by knocking out his opponent in the 8th round, a great rematch for the young kickboxer. Andrew Tate will add a new world title to his record in 2013 by winning again the famous ISKA World Full Contact Light Cruiserweight Championship. The young kickboxer had almost become a legend in the sport, but he still hadn't reached his goal of wealth because it was obvious that kickboxing wasn't really the best way to become a millionaire. And even with his prestigious world championship titles, the fiery fighter was not able to hit the jackpot. His biggest salary had been $100,000, a small fortune, but one that would not make him a member of the Millionaires Club. Andrew Tate knew that he had to make a choice, either to continue his promising career as a fighter or to retire from the sport and go into business. The young man was convinced that only a business could really open the way to wealth, so his choice was quickly made. Andrew Tate indeed announced his retirement in 2014 just after winning the prestigious Infusion Live Championship, where he managed to defeat the unbeatable Wendell Roche. His decision, which did not fail to surprise his fans around the world, was surely well thought out, because the young boxer had reinvested all the money he had earned for his fights, and he now owned several casinos in Romania and Eastern Europe. His family had played a big role in these businesses, especially his brother Tristan, who was Andrew's right-hand man and who was in charge of almost all the technical aspects. The kickboxer and his brother managed several gambling establishments and casinos, as well as a YouTube channel and some social network accounts. Thanks to these accounts, Andrew has been able to build up his fame and attract more customers for his business. Because Andrew and his brother are also involved in some suspicious and shady business, which finally turned out to be jokes. The two brothers had indeed set up several webcam sites in the manner of a phone sex, and where men could come and chat live with beautiful and gorgeous models. The cost of the communication was, of course, more than prohibitive, around $4 a minute, and the conversations tended to drag on because the girls were instructed to keep the customers for the maximum time. Some of these poor unfortunate even went broke to continue chatting with the girls they had literally fallen in love with, thus squandering all their wealth and even going so far as to get into debt with banks and credit agencies. But in spite of the fact that this business was unhealthy and degrading, it was still highly lucrative, bringing considerable gains to Andrew Tate, who had suddenly turned from a kickboxing champion to a Wall Street wolf. A wolf with long teeth and voracious appetite, and who did not take long to become very rich, thus realizing his childhood dream, even though it was done by devious and unscrupulous ways. But the former full contact world champion could finally claim to be a millionaire, as the profits from his successful business kept flowing into his bank account. Yet the pace was still not enough for Andrew, for he knew that if he did not diversify his business, there was a good chance that his business would eventually stall. He had earned his first million, but now he hoped to increase that amount tenfold and multiply it exponentially. But to do this, he had to build a good base of followers and subscribers on social networks, because he knew that was the real key to success. By becoming ultra famous, Andrew Tate could indeed attract a new customer and new markets, and his business would all prosper even more. He then had the idea of participating in a highly watched British reality show, The Big Brother, with the avowed aim of profiting from his fame for his own account. Unfortunately for him, his dreams of glory will be quickly relegated to oblivion, since the former kickboxer was going to be evicted from the show, and this despite a good score compared to his competitors. The decision to disqualify him occurred when the British newspaper The Sun published pictures of him hitting a young woman with a belt, which was, according to them, an irrefutable proof of abuse. However, Andrew assured anyone who would listen that the act in question was consensual and that the young woman who appeared in the video clip was totally free and consenting. However, despite his elimination from the British reality show, Andrew Tate gained a lot of fame and had therefore achieved his initial goal. He had also learned a key lesson that anyone aspiring to fame should know. To succeed in breaking through, he had to make the buzz. And no matter if it is a good or bad fuzz, the main thing was the traffic and the number of subscribers. Andrew Tate then decided to push the envelope even further in his provocations and his media outlets, to say the least, bold and misplaced. Declarations that often led to the banning of his account on social networks, such as Twitter, but which paradoxically attracts him even more fame and credit. Sharing his lavish lifestyle on social networks where he remains always active, the ex-fighter makes dream many of his followers, who dream one day to look like their idol. Because Andrew Tate has kept his physique of high-level athlete, and he does not hesitate to display on the dozens of photos he shares each day with his followers. His follower base in his pocket, Andrew Tate has launched another ultra-lucrative business, a kind of university that is supposed to educate you on how to become very rich very quickly. The courses provided are in fact just simple pseudo-financial advice, and that can be found a little bit everywhere on the net, as well as a bunch of nonsense on personal development supposed to cause miracles in your professional and love life. However, this university would have tens of thousands of active members, and when we know that the registration fees do not go below $50, the calculation is quickly done. We can therefore consider this project as a real horn of plenty for Andrew Tate. With such a considerable income, it is not surprising to discover the ultra-luxurious standard of living that the ex-fighter leads, who does not skimp on any expense to satisfy his wildest desires. The amount of his real fortune is not really known, since the young businessman keeps boasting about being worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and that he would have even reached his first billion. But his boastful side and his usual rhodomontades obviously take away all credibility, especially on such a delicate and crucial issue. All that is sure for the moment is that the lowest estimate would be $10 million, while the highest would be around $250 million. A very large gap between the two sums, but still unattainable for most of us. It is therefore certain and almost certain that Andrew Tate is today a millionaire, and that he has thus well and truly realized his childhood dream. Today, the young golden boy enjoys the life of a pasha that his many millions can buy him, and it is without any embarrassment that he ostensibly displays the luxury of his daily life. Extremely expensive sports cars, luxury clothes and accessories, and gold and diamond jewelry, Andrew Tate does not cease to display his material privileges in front of the crowd of his fans and his admiring followers. Now, tell us in the comments what you think of Andrew Tate's extraordinary career and the princely lifestyle he leads today. Don't forget to subscribe and click here to watch another of our videos.